Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. We have a little bit of a break in the clouds in the celestial weather this week, meaning we've got a nice week that's going to give us a little bit of a sigh of relief before we move into next week, where we go back to the mat and we duke it out to continue to explore what's really worth fighting for, what's really meaningful in our lives and worth committing our energy to. So we start the week with the sun in the gate 55, giving us the opportunity to deepen our faith muscle, which is what we've been working on for the last decade, but it's much more in our face this past week. The new moon on Sunday carried this same theme. So we're really looking at what are our intentions, where do we have faith, what do we need to do to deepen our faith, and how can we create in a direction towards something that maybe we don't see evidence of yet, but do we have the faith? We're exploring this. Do we have the faith to keep our head down, to keep ourselves focused on creating what we want, even if we don't see evidence of it yet? This is what we're mastering. This is what we're being taught over and over and over again from the planets. And it's going to be really our lesson for the next 7 years as we move forward through this powerful transformational cycle that we're in. So learning how to use faith and to trust in faith and to create beyond reasoning and logic and to stretch the boundaries of what's possible for your life personally and ultimately for what's possible for humanity in this world is a key element that we start the week with. On Tuesday, the sun moves into the gate 37, the gate of harmony. The earth moves into the gate 40, the gate of resourcefulness. And these two gates in this dance that the sun and the earth are doing together, these two gates actually bring us the potential for willpower through the channel 3740, the channel of sustainable agreements. The theme here is sustainable agreements. So the most important thing I want you to think about this week as you begin this or continue with Mercury being retrograde, kind of playing in the same energy, as you look at your relationships and the contracts that you're negotiating and the agreements that perhaps you're evaluating and contemplating and exploring and renegotiating, that as you look at where you've put your energy and your commitments and your focus and your love even in your life, have you done it in a way that is sustainable? This energy gives us the impulse to make agreements that sustain us. They sustain community, they sustain the allocation of resources, how we use our money, how we use our education, how we use the heart of who we are as a resource for others. This is the place where we make relationship agreements, and it gives us, as I said, willpower. This is important because when we think about sustainability and we think about willpower and we know how willpower functions in the human design chart, it's kind of a conundrum. Willpower is the ability to sustain over time, to endure. But we can't use willpower if we don't make it sustainable. And it's an energy in the chart that requires of us that we rest. So how do we create sustainably with that whole need for rest and that whole struggle of not pushing so hard that you burn yourself out? Here's what I want you to think about. The energy of willpower in the human design chart is associated with the will center, which is the place where we hold, first and foremost, our own personal sense of value. You will not have willpower if you don't value yourself. You will not be able to endure and sustain yourself in any agreement that you make with anyone if you don't value yourself first. This will center, this willpower source, and we all have it. Some of us have it consistently. Some of us have it in different ways. We have it more in our experience from others. We all have willpower, but we can't harness it in the same way. The key to harnessing willpower, and this is not a moral flaw, this is not a character issue, okay? This isn't about you being weak. It's about knowing how this energy works for you. The way this energy works is it's like a bank. You got to put stuff into the will center bank. And what you put into that bank is a high sense of value, a sense of alignment with your personal integrity. You put into it a reconnection to source in order to create resources. You cannot be resourceful if you're not connected to source. You put into it rest and restoration. And you put into it the work you need to do to increase your own personal sense of value. This is the foundational work we have to do in order for us to build good, strong, long-term, resilient, sustainable relationship agreements. I was thinking about my youngest son this morning when I was getting ready, because he's very emotionally defined. He's a manifesting generator. He gets frustrated very easily. And over the last couple of years, he's had some really tremendous life challenges that have kind of knocked him flat. And he's been very frustrated, but where he is right now, after years of doing personal work, is fabulous. He's really done the work and his life is starting to click, but it took time. And I have told him over the years as he struggled, I keep telling him, son, life is long. We say life is short, but life is long. It's long enough for you to do the work on your self-worth in order for you to create enduring, sustainable, high-quality relationship agreements, bargains and deals, negotiations, business agreements, whatever kinds of agreements you're making. Your life is long enough for you to do the inner work so that you can make good agreements that will sustain you over time. Good relationships take time, and they're going to have crappy cycles. You're going to have cycles where it's going to feel like you're doing all the work in the relationship, and then sometimes your partner's doing all the work in the relationships. If we go into the relationship with our will center bank empty, we don't have the reconnection to source. We don't get our value. We're not in integrity. We're not resourced ourselves. And we go into partnership with that energy. The agreements that we make are riddled with expectations and projections and even bitterness that can cause the foundation of a relationship to erode and not give it the advantage of being enduring and sustaining. So think about the length of your life. Keep a long-term vision for whatever agreements you're crafting and creating. And by the way, Mercury is making us do this too in its retrograde cycle. This is everything we're working on in Mercury. Keep a long-term view. Have a vision for what you want in your relationship, in your partnerships, and then renegotiate the day-to-day fluctuations in who does what and how does what happen. Be clear in your communication this week. Ask for what you want and make sure that you're being genuine. Don't waffle and give up what you need and want. Work with win-win negotiation in mind and keep making those vital deposits in your will center bank. Rest. Restore your energy. Take care of your self-worth. Heal any trauma that you might have that might be causing you to react instead of being deliberate. Take time to reconnect with source and remember the higher purpose of your life and your soul's curriculum as you evolve through this lifetime. Make sure your physical life is resourced. Make sure you're taking good care of your money, your education, your mind, all those things that are your resources that ultimately you are here to not only use to sustain yourself, but to give and to share with others when you've taken care of yourself first. So, life is long. Life is long. Let's work with that this week and make good, healthy, strong agreements that are absolutely worthy of the truth of who you are. Have a great week.